Hello all, I hope you're having a great day today. Today we're taking a look at the 1986 novel. It was published for Quester. You can't find it online anymore, as a reminder and so forth. I bought this on eBay and so forth. I'll link you to, I was able to find the first book, but I haven't looked for the second book actually, so I don't know where I'm going to link you to and so forth. But I'll put it in the comments below where I'm going to wind up linking you to. The first book was available only for, it wasn't even available used on Amazon. And so forth. It's written by Asa Drake, but that is a pseudonym for C. Dean Anderson and such and so forth. And this one, I knocked it out last night and finished it for the first time while knocking it out for this channel. I actually really liked this. I thought it was pretty good stuff and so forth. And I really liked it a lot. It was 268 pages long, which is about... It's 63 pages. It's about 45 pages longer than the previous one, which was only 218 pages long. And I think it used its length well. It's the additional amount of time. As a reminder, I knocked out the first one, was about 60 pages a day, and then the last 2 days in order to knock it out in 4 days for you folks. But this one, because I planned to do it in 5 days, because it had added like 45 pages of about 50 pages a day. And I did it on time for the first few days, first 3 days, and then last night there were only like 80 some pages and 83 pages left because I was at 170. So I knocked it out down to 163, and so I knocked out the last bit of it, and so forth. And so I did it in about 3 hours last night instead of normal 50 pages, or it was oftentimes, or 60 pages is often coming less. So I did 60 pages before I went to go watch my news at 9 o'clock every night until 10, and then after it, I've spent another hour knocking it out because I was really interested in it. I think it ends it well. I think it's good stuff. I like it a lot. It's in the sword and sorcery genre, I'd say. There are witches and war wizards and such, but it's really more of it's set in the Norse Mythology, so it's definitely fantasy genre, which is one of the genres that we carry. We cover, as a reminder, this guy is C. Dean Anderson. He wrote a short story set in this called The War Skull of Hel. That was my favorite story that I've read so far in the collection of short stories from 1996 in the Eternal Champion collection called that we've been doing, called Pawn of Chaos, that we've been doing a deep dive into, that I was doing so I figured since his was my favorite short story in that collection, I figured I'd go ahead and check out this trilogy that had already been published and so forth. And I liked it. And again, I blew through it. It was very, very fast. And the final one is actually shorter than this one, so it's between the first two in length. But I don't mind. I think the extra 45 pages actually does well. I think he does a lot of things with it. I do think that the first one, while it was a fast read and won't take that much of your time, it's also pretty slow at times, and probably fast with its combat. Like, it didn't have like epic combat scenes that took like pages or chapters or anything like that, right? Even though a lot of epic things happen, right? A lot of things happen to solve. So I think he used the length here definitely well. Definitely enjoyed this. Someone when we gave this a 7.5 instead of a 7, like the last novel. It's rating. As a reminder, his channel's name is The Worst Thing About New Books. That's a quote by French philosopher Jacques Joubert from the 19th century. He said that the worst thing about new books was that they kept us from reading the old ones, right? And so this is definitely older works that aren't even published anymore. You can only find them on Kindle, at least the first book in the series. And so that's not great, right? How are you going to enjoy these sorts of things? So that's definitely a passion of his channel, right? Decades ago. It's definitely an older work. So that's the passion of this channel. And, fantasy, horror, and science fiction are the three genres that I carry too. So this is fantasy. It's set in Norse mythology, right? And such. So the basic concept that we're going to find out on the first chapter, again, no spoilers, but the first chapter, except for the first few chapters of each novel, in the first chapter, the first novel, this is the War Witch of Hel. Is basically what's happening is that our main character, the Warrior Witch of Hel, is Bloodsong. She is setting out on a plot of vengeance, again, because this guy killed his wife, her husband and son, and so forth, and then left her to die outside, and raised her town that she had been built up and so forth. She was an ex-slave of this nasty guy. And so she is setting out on a quest of vengeance. And since he's a traitor to Hel, she is going as an envoy of Hel. She's a Hel warrior, the first one that's had for hundreds of years, and so forth, to seek out against him because he's so strong. Basically what happened was he stole her war skull. So basically what the plan is is for her to invade and succeed. And that's where the warrior aspect of the title comes from. But she also has been given hell powers, witch powers too. So she's also a warrior witch in order to, which is supposed to be a surprise. And then what ends up happening is that our main character he's stolen the War Skull of Hel. So she's supposed to use that power and teleport in hell past his defenses, and he's amped up because he stole her artifact. And then after teleporting him in, her in, the Norwegian god of darkness and death, she is going to take it back and punish him and then reclaim her power. That's basically what's happening. That's the plot. And you find that out in the first few. Obviously, I'm not going to give you any spoilers, but as a result of what happens, Hel is now in a stronger place, and so forth. And now what's going to happen? She's left. Our Bloodsong has left in the first few chapters of this novel. The things that are happening and such. And so now, so the Death Riders are now 9 Hel warriors that are marching out that are already dead rather than living like how Bloodsong was. And now Bloodsong's now that she's done her time for Hel, she's now forsworn her and moved on to other services and doing other things. She's no longer interested in that sort of a thing. And basically, what's going to happen in the first few chapters of this is that her daughter, who was born, has powers. She's going to be a magician, a witch in the world, and she's definitely powerful. She and one of her mentors, Hel, also a character in the first novel, are captured by this evil, nasty Hel witch, who's very, very powerful and is has improved in power and such. And she's one of the most powerful denizens running around. She is allied with the general of Kovna from the first novel, who was the key general of the guy who they killed and so forth. So she's now allied with him. And so forth, and they have invaded and taken the witches, and they're also about to attack the new home of Bloodsong and her families and her daughters and her new people that she's rebuilt after the destructions and so forth. So that's basically what's happening. His army is going to attack them as an assault. All they have are earthworks and so forth in a major novel. Major army. They're not going to be able to stop. Right, and such. So that happens in the first few chapters of this novel to get you started and get you caught up with what's happening. Right, so there's a lot of vengeance, a lot of leveling it up that's happening and such. And so the Death Riders, now she has to fight 9 Death Riders of Hel that have already been dead and such, and are amped up in power level as a result. So instead of she was just one, right, and she was enough by herself with Hel powers. To conquer with some friends, help some friends here and there, to conquer, this evil guy who was so powerful that helped. So you can imagine how powerful the Death Riders are going to be, right, and so forth. So I like this. Again, I like it a lot. It's 7.5 out of 10. It's fun stuff, and I'm going to go ahead and leave you to it. Read the Death Riders of Hel? If so, what did you think about it? Let's talk about it in the comments below. Did you agree or disagree with my 7.5 out of 10? If so, let's talk about it. If you want to talk about spoilers or the endings, the previous novel, anything like that, put it in spoiler tags. Let's do it. So there you are. If you enjoyed this, why not hit that subscribe button? There's going to be a lot more of these to come. And also, if you're feeling frisky, hit the bell icon to be reminded of it. Hit the like button, and also share with your friends. And then finally, I just want to pause for a moment and thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and investing it and watching my video, because we all have so many things that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me, that's incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.